Okay guys, in this video we are doing my books that I read in June and my July TBR. Buckle up, we have a lot of books. I'm gonna put this one over here because I'm technically reading it right now, so it's technically on my July TBR. Okay, let me go in order. I need to pull up the Goodreads so I can remember what I rated all of them. Okay. Perfect. In June, the first book I read was The Right Move by Liz Tomford. When I tell you guys, Ryan Shea, the man that you are, loved it. I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars, which is fairly high for me, I will say. Pretty much in this one, we are following Ryan Shea, who is a professional basketball player. He doesn't go out. He doesn't really do much of anything aside from play basketball and practice and then go sit at home. And his twin sister, Stevie, her friend from the, they are flight attendants for the hockey team. I can't remember what their name is off the top of my head, but it's the Chicago hockey team, and they're flight attendants for them. And pretty much Stevie's friend Indy, her boyfriend, well, technically he's an ex throughout the book, but in the beginning her boyfriend cheats on her, so she has to move out of her apartment and she needs somewhere to stay, so she ends up moving in with Ryan, and Ryan is not too fond of this idea at first, but he uses it to his advantage because he is the team captain of the Devils team, and he has to get his general manager to like him. I don't remember why, he just doesn't like the fact that he doesn't like her. So they come up with this scheme that they are fake dating, and what do you know, sparks fly and they end up together. But this one was so cute. I really enjoyed it, and I couldn't really get into Mile High. I never actually finished it, but however, I did finish this one, and fairly quickly, might I add. I mean, 9 days, but I was fairly busy throughout those 9 days. But regardless, The Right Move by Liz Tomford, rated it a 4-star. The next book that I read, I finished in 5 days. Fairly short, but again, been busy. But it was You with a View, and pretty much we're following Noelle, and it's, I think, only in her POV. Yes. But we're following Noelle as she goes on a little road trip with her high school nemesis and his grandpa. Because when his name is Theo, when their grandparents were in college, they actually dated and almost ended up getting married, and they had a whole honeymoon trip planned, but they didn't go on it because they didn't end up getting married for reasons that you find out in the book. But his grandpa insists that Theo comes with because he wants to play a little matchmaker, because he can see how similar Theo and Noelle were to him and Noelle's grandma when they were their age. And so, yeah, they pretty much just go hiking, and she's a photographer, so she's trying to get back into it, so she takes landscape pictures of everywhere they go, and she kind of just like falls back in love with photography, and obviously falls in love with Theo throughout the book. But I thought this was really cute. I rated it a 4-star. I really enjoyed it. This one has honestly been sitting on my TBR shelf, I think, for quite a bit. I could be wrong, I don't know. I've had so many books on my TBR shelf that have been there for who knows how long. But yes, this was You with a View. I really liked it. It was very cutesy. There was some spice, but not too much. The Right Move was pretty spicy though, I will say. Okay, if you watched my previous video for my June TBR, this was on it, and this was a book that I'd started back in May. Like, this took me a month to read, but I just wasn't in the mood for it that much. But I did finish it, and I did get the 2 other books. I know. and that book is Caraval. I really liked Caraval. Once I actually got into it, I was thoroughly enjoying myself. I was very immersed. Pretty much in this one, we are following Scarlet, and it's only in her POV, but there's also Julian and Donatella, which are main characters in this book, and Legend. Pretty much Legend is like this magician, I guess, and he makes a whole like game circus thing called Caraval. And Scarlet and her sister are picked to go to Caraval and play the game, except Tella gets kidnapped at the beginning of Caraval. And so her and Scarlet and Julian go like play the game to try and find Tella. And there are many adventures along the way and many things that happen. And let me tell you, I was a little confused at first, but it was fairly good and I really honestly enjoyed it. I rated it a 4-star. A lot of these books have been 4 stars, but I've actually really enjoyed a lot of them. But yeah, so pretty much we're following Scarlet and Julian as they go on this mission and finish out this game to find her sister. Okay, the last book I read in June, I only read 4, was Legendary by Stephanie Garber, which is the second book to Caraval. And in this one, it's a new Caraval game, but we are following Tella. And Tella has to find out who Legend is because she made a deal with somebody, and if she does not repay that deal, she pretty much dies, or so they say. And so she has to win Caraval and find out who Legend is. And there is like things called fates, which you find out in this one a little bit, but more in depth in this one. And pretty much there's like a whole thing with the fates and everything, but I don't want to spoil too much of it because one of the main big parts of the fates spoils the ending and kind of spoils the part of the third one. But yeah, so those were the 4 books that I read in June. My July TBR is fairly large. I don't think I'm going to get through all of them, and honestly, that's okay. Most of the books on here are just my more anticipated reads that I would like to read sooner rather than later. The first book that I've started and am probably honestly going to finish tonight because I have like 100 pages is Finale, which is the third. There's 4, but the 4th one's a novella, and I don't honestly have any interest of reading it. But I started this one on July 1st, so it's taken me about a week, but again, life is messy, life is crazy, I haven't had too much time to read. But in this one, it's told in both Tella and Scarlet's point of views, and it's after things happen with the fates, and pretty much Tella, Scarlet, Legend, and Julian kind of have to save the world essentially from pretty much the world's ending, to put it lightly. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this one. Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna rate it a 5-star, but I really do enjoy it. I try to keep my 5 stars to myself a little bit. But that's the first book of July that I'm reading. Okay, now to my like TBR of books that I want to read. We're gonna see how much I can get. The first one is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. This one is about Larissa and Chris. Pretty much Larissa is dating Chris, and things happen. I'm not quite sure because I haven't read the book, but pretty much she has to choose who she wants to ride home with the concert, Chris or another guy. She picks Chris and they end up dating. Oh no, Chris is not the one who drove her home. His best friend did. And so I don't know how it happens, but her and her boyfriend Chris, his best friend and her get together. So I'm not too sure on the details, but I've heard really good things about it. My best friend's reading it and she really enjoyed it. So we'll see what happens. I do really like Abby Jimenez, so we'll see. The next book I want to read is Just Friends by Haley Pham. I love her YouTube videos, and I've had this book literally on my shelf since it came out, but I've been waiting for summer, and then I just haven't gone to it. But anyway, it's a best friends to lovers. We're following Blair and Declan. They were best friends growing up, and they kissed at one point, and then took them from friends to something more, but then everything changed, and now we're like fast forwarding 4 years later, and she's back and to support her mom and care for her great aunt because her great aunt's health is declining, and she applies to work at a coffee shop, and Declan ends up being the manager at the coffee shop. And so it's just kind of how they move on from what happened all those years ago. And I think this one also goes between timelines. Well, I think this one goes between timelines. I'm not too sure though. But overall, it sounds really cute. I think it should be a quick-ish read from what it seems. Sorry guys, I'm a little tired. Okay, the next book I read, or I want to read, is Little Pieces of Light by Emma Scott. Pretty much this one is another second chance friends to lovers, and pretty much these two people, their names are Emery and Xander, they meet at 10 and they write each other letters, and they promise to stay in touch, but the letters stop sending. And 7 years later, Xander returns and crosses path with Emery, and pretty much he has a really hard life with his dad growing up, and she also has a hard life with her dad, and her mom ends up disappearing. It's like her own like grief and alcoholism, and so their worlds collide, and pretty much it's again just kind of how they overcome those obstacles and come back together after everything that happened with them. So I'm excited to read that. Okay guys, this is on my June TBR, and I actually did read more. Let me see where I was at 11% when I started in June. Now I'm at 23%, and that is Magnolia Park's Along My Home. Like, be so serious. I honestly, literally, we are just following BJ and Magnolia and how they fight and break up 80 times over after she moves back to London from New York. They actually do have a lot of more like sensitive topics, I guess, that have been coming up in this one. I don't know guys, I don't know. I was really into the first one and the first Daisy Hates, and then this one I just haven't been able to get into, and I started this back in like January, bro. I don't know, I just haven't been able to get into it, and I want to get into it so bad. I can't, I genuinely, I cannot, but I want to finish it at some point, so it's back on my TBR. My goal is to finish it by the end of this year. If I can't finish this book in a year, I might have to DNF it. I honestly might, and that's crazy if I can't, because I don't like to DNF books. I really don't, but she might have to. Okay, these next two I just bought today actually, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time to get them, considering I only read 4 books in June, and it's already a week in, and I've only finished 1, and the 3 that's a lie. I think I'm going to switch maybe Little Pieces of Light out with this next book, because I've been waiting a month for this book, And again, if you watched any of my videos, you know how obsessed I am with this series, and that is The Boys of Brayshaw. And I got the last one, Break Me Brayshaw. It came out today, and I'm very excited. This one we are following Royce and Brielle, who is Bass Bishop from the first book's little sister. And pretty much just like the other ones, they move her into the house, things happen, secrets are revealed, and they get together. But I'm not quite sure what all happens with this one, but I'm very excited. And I'm not gonna lie, when Victoria laughs at the end of the fourth one because she knows something that everyone else doesn't, and that is that Royce has found Brielle and he's going to move her in the house. I don't personally know everything that happens and what the significance of her laughing was, but just the fact that she knew was pretty funny. But my goal is to at least get through Break Me Brayshaw, Little Pieces of Light, Just Friends, and The Night We Met this month. We'll see. I'm adding this one on here for good measure because I do really want to read it, and that is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I did read the first one a long time ago, but I watched the show. Not that everything in the plot is the same, but it was a good refresher. And I actually didn't know that Charlie had his own book, and so when I found that out after I watched the show, I was like, I need to buy it, so I did. But pretty much we're following Alice and Charlie. Alice is 17 when she meets Charlie for the first time, and he's 19. And she ends up taking a picture of Charlie, Percy, and Sam all on their little like yellow boat that was Charlie and Sam's dad's. And so now she becomes a photographer, and her grandma still owns the house on Barry's Bay that she met the boys and Percy at. And pretty much years go by, her grandma falls and breaks her hips, so she moves back to Barry's Bay to take care of her, where she runs into Charlie, and it's just how their like life unfolds afterward and how they end up getting together. If you can't tell, I love a lot of like second chance romances, considering 3 of the books on my TBR this month are second chance romances. But we'll see how far I get. I want to try and do more reading vlogs, but I'm a full-time nanny, so it's very hard to like record and stuff while I'm at work. So, but we'll see how I can do. But now I'm gonna go try and finish Finale so I can start one of these other books. But I'm very excited, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Bye!